Fellas, week 3 in the books. Got some more trades this week. Love it. We'll get into those. We'll get into the matchups. We'll get into my predictions. We'll get into everything like we always do. We'll start with the predictions. 2 and 3 last week. Not the best week you can see right here. Ben and Chase got your game right. Caleb and Chris got your game right, and the rest of us incorrect. Ford, you really let me down, and man, your team is looking stinky. But we'll get into that. We'll hear from you, loser of the week, about 60 points. That's a low on the season so far. Couple trades. You can see right here. Our first one being Sam, who sent me that exact trade that he did send Derek. So I'm assuming he sent that trade to everyone. Sharbs, Pickens, Chase Brown, Walker for Trey Benson, Kamara, and Judkins. I don't really know why Derek did that. I thought it's hard to get running back depth, and Derek all of a sudden had lots of running back depth, and then he traded away 3 running backs for Chase Brown, who you probably don't want to own him right now, I say, as someone who has him in 2 other leagues. Kenneth Walker and Charbs, that's going to be a headache, and then Pickens, who will be good for a few weeks, I guess, with CD out, but he gives up Kamara, who's pretty mid. Benson should be pretty good, and Judkins, I obviously am pretty high on him. But then Sam turned around and traded away Judkins in London for Devontae and Tet. So he does get Tet back. He gets Devontae on his team. He gets rid of Drake London. He's basically got a brand new team than what he had last week. So those are the moves you make when you're 0-3. I like it. He's trying to compete. He wants to make sure that Rashid doesn't waste away on his roster when he does come back. But I like it. I like seeing the trades fly through. And it makes the league fun. Makes my job fun. So we'll get into it. We'll hear from our winner of the week, Steele. Bullying does work. Steele did send a video this week. So thank you, everyone, for voicing how upset you were. It wasn't just me. He listened. Thank you, Steele, for sending a video. It was lovely. And we hear from Ford. So let's hear from Ford first. Ford scored about 60 points this week. Started the Ravens defense. Got you -6 points. What do you got to say, man?
All right, fellas, what's up? Excited to be talking with everyone. Not excited about the circumstances, me as this week's biggest loser. Like I said, excited to see everyone, especially after I couldn't make it down to Myrtle. That looked like a lot of fun. Levin in his rage-baiting bag go off. I'm the loser this week. I'm making a video because that's what we do. Everyone but that pussy, Jared Steele. Don't know what's gotten into him. Doesn't want us to see his adorable little face. My team sucks. I'm 1-2, so I'm not the worst record in the league, but I probably have the worst roster in the league. It's just Bijan and nobody else. So everyone's available for my team. I'm looking to do a hard reset. So if you want anybody, call me. Literally my entire roster sucks other than Bijan, so might not want anyone. We're not excited about the roster moving forward, but we're gonna speak internally. We're gonna try a players only meeting. We might try a no players meeting, just me and like a 6-pack or something, and just try and fight this through. I don't foresee a turnaround, so I'm sure I'll be talking to you guys again soon. And Jared Levin, I checked the schedule. The weekend of your wedding, you get to play me, so you're welcome. Happy wedding. That will be one of my gifts to you. You're welcome. Congratulations. We get to look forward to week 6. I might be 1-4 at that point, but good luck. Losing to Derek really hurt my soul. See everyone next week.
Yes, Ford, it's looking a little rough, and you're right, I absolutely was in my rage-baiting bag over that weekend in Myrtle. Just was so happy to be with the fellas on the beach. I had to piss everyone off as much as I could. And you're absolutely right. You do play me my wedding weekend, so if I lose to you, that would suck big time. I really, we need a couple wins right now with all these injuries that have struck our team. So, but yes, tough outing. Your opponent scores 100 points. You think you're going to win. You don't think you're going to lose by 31 as a general rule of thumb. You were the only person not to break 100 this week. Obviously, Derek was a close second. But yeah, tough outing for sure. Brock Bowers, second-round pick, tied at 8 on the year. He's not producing where you want him to. Jaden getting hurt. Bijan's been good, but that 1-2 punch and T Higgins and Jerry Judy that you drafted that you thought you were getting obviously has not panned out. And then the Ravens defense, I don't understand the thought process. Playing the Ravens defense against Detroit, -6. They're currently ranked last out of all defenses after 2 weeks where they've scored negative. So the Ravens might be cooked as a whole. Obviously, they play the Chiefs this weekend, so we'll see. But yeah, tough outing from Ford for sure. On the absolute opposite side of the ball, more than doubled, 2.5x Ford's points this week, who did win the undefeated Jared battle. So he reigns supreme at least until our next matchup. Steele, you have made a video this week. Thank you. What do you have to say?
What's up, guys? It's your winner of the week here again. Didn't record a video last week because kind of had a feeling that I'd be back here again this week, and here we are. Quick recap on our last week's matchup. The big undefeated teams coming together. Didn't really end up that way. It was 110 to 173. Yeah, not a whole lot to say. Levin lost his two wide receivers to injuries, and then just Giants football, I guess. So unfortunate, but we move on. In terms of my team, I think we're looking good. The group chat's been in agreement with that. I feel like a couple of the chats I'm seeing are Steele's team looks scary. How did we let this happen? And one interesting one was that we just completely stop the season right now and reset, redraft, and just pay me out now, which, yeah, I'm fine with that if we want to do that. Open to it. Up to you guys, though. Yeah, big matchup against Rory this week, who's starting Ollie Gordon. I'm a little concerned about that since he's a very good player, but rest of his team's pretty mid, so I don't know how. I'm not that worried about it, but yeah, keep the trades coming in. I love that. Made another one with Sam this morning. In talks with a few more. Might send out a few more offers. Still very active on the trade block there, so keep them coming. By the way, now have Quinshon Judkins. If anyone's interested in him at all, send me an offer. But yeah, that's about it. Good luck to everybody except Rory, but he's gonna need it. His team's bad.
Absolutely beautiful to see your face. And I will say, I did think you were joking when you said Rory was starting Ollie Gordon. I had to go check. He is actually starting Ollie Gordon. So we'll get into that and the previews, but we got to do the recap first. Yes, 173 to 110. Steele laid a slacking on me. And he's back-to-back winner of the weeks. 2 out of the 3 weeks he's been winner of the week. So his team's real good. I don't know how we let this happen, but we'll go from there, right, fellas? All right. Let's dive into the matchups from last week. Our first matchup, we already talked about a little bit, Derek and Ford, 100 to 69, and they combined for about 170 points. Steele scored 173 on his own, so this combined matchup scored less points than Steele by himself. Pretty wild. Ford, we already heard from him. Ravens defense with -6, that's tough. 69 is the new low on the season, so someone maybe will beat that this year, but that's going to be tough. I don't think anyone's going to beat Chase's lowest score of like 35 from a few years ago. That was just absolutely insane. Derek does get in the win column with 100 points. Led in scoring by Omarion Hampton with 25. Next closest with Bo Nix was 13. And then Scary Terry with 10. And the Steelers defense had 15 as well. I guess, I'm trying to justify why Derek made that trade because it all of a sudden looked like he had some good running back depth. With Trey Benson being relevant, Judkins looking pretty good. Obviously, Omarion Hampton looked really good too. So he had a bunch of good running backs. I guess he's worried that Scary Terry is going to miss a bunch of time. He might have a sports hernia, which would be a bummer for Commies fans and for Derek's fantasy team. But I thought that his team was actually looking on the up and up. We'll see, right? We'll see. Who am I to judge except for the one that makes and edits these videos every week? But yes, Derek gets in the win column. 1 and 2, 8th place. Ford drops to 1 and 2, currently sitting in 7th. Our next matchup, Chase and Ben, 162 to 146. This is definitely a tough loss for Chase. Was the third highest score this week, comes away with an L. And he said, I was going to say if you wouldn't have played Fat Debo, it would have made a difference. I actually don't know if it would have. It was a 17-point swing. Actually, never mind. I think it would have made a difference. No? I'm doing the math? No, I had the math wrong. I don't think it would have made a difference. You still shouldn't have played Fat Debo, but Devontae with 20, Debo with 5, 15-point difference. It would have been 161. You still would have lost. So it would not have mattered in the end. But we'll do Ben's side first because he won 162. Real good performance. The Vikings defense with 32. Just an absolutely smash play. 32 points from a defense. That's got to be a high in league history. Chase's defense and kicker combined for 17.9 points. Ben's defense and kicker combined for 45. So that was the matchup right there. Justin Herbert with 15, Jacobs with 12, Amon-Ra with 20, Garrett Wilson with 24. Waddle got in the end zone on Thursday night, and then ETN with 11. So just a very solid outing from Ben. He was the second highest scorer this week. And then Chase, 146. Obviously, 146, you're going to win most weeks when you score 146. Didn't happen this week. Jalen with 29, Nico with 22 off that broken touchdown. Jordan Mason with 23. Kyron with 19, and then disappointed with Kelsey and Debo, who combined for 11 points. Cam Little only with 5 points as well. So, all in all, I mean, this was a super high-scoring matchup, obviously. I think, Chase probably feels okay about his team. Derrick Henry is kind of looking like Ramondre Stevenson a little bit. He's fumbling a lot. Not great for the Ravens for sure, and for him. But in theory, you should be okay. Obviously, if Scary Terry is injured, Debo probably gets a bump too. So that means Chase will probably be back and forth and flipping him in. But yeah, very, very high-scoring matchup this week. Obviously, Ben 1-1-1 in 5th place. Chase drops to 1-2, currently sitting in 6th. Matchup 3, Najee Nation gets a win, remains undefeated 3-0 against Sam. Drops to 0-3, does a full reset on his team. He's basically only got 2 players from last week in this week's lineup, but future Jared will get to that. Najee Nation, in James Conner's send-off, who Rory has basically every year, he loses he does lose Najee. He loses Najee and James Conner on the season. He's hurt running back for sure. But he gets a win, 140-130, led in scoring by Cortland Sutton and Josh Allen. Pittman with a great week with 19 points and Puka with 22, who has been probably the most consistent and best receiver so far this year. Zay Flowers disappointed with 3 points, but Jake Bates brought it home for him on Monday night with 8 points and a very good game if you guys stayed up and watched it. On Sam's side of the matchup, again, he doesn't have most of these players anymore. Bucs defense was 16, Spencer Schrader with 10, Pickens with 17, Kenneth Walker with 18, Tyler Warren disappointed with 6, CMC with 24, and then Dak. Not great from Dak for sure, only 12 points. So against a defense of the Chicago Bears that is not very good, so that was definitely disappointing from one, a Cowboys fan perspective, and 2, a Dak Prescott owner for Sam. But yeah, Rory comes away with the win. Just real solid. Saquon only with 9 points. Rory's running back room is obviously looking very rough, as I just mentioned, and Steele mentioned in his video. But he's got Josh Allen, he's got Puka. So you're going to be in it with those 2 players, at least on a weekly basis, in theory. Rory, one of 2 undefeated teams left. They play each other this week. 140-130. Sam remains winless. Matchup 4. Chris and Caleb, 133-118. A relatively close game, 15 points. Chris still no losses, 0 losses on the year, undefeated. He does have the tie, obviously, but 133-118, he comes away with the win. Led on the back by A.J. Brown with 22 and his kicker with 21. His kicker and his defense combined for 38.6 points versus Caleb's 18.9. I think I said the same thing last week. Caleb was let down in the kicker and special teams department. So you're going to get outscored by that much. It's going to be tough for you to rack up wins. On Chris's side of the matchup, outside of that, A.J. Brown, like I said, performed. Jamar's been very disappointing. Bucky looked good. Rome's looked very good. Tucker Kraft was just okay coming off that knee injury in practice. And then Brees looks like that first week may have been a flash in the pan. I'm not sure how much we can rank Jets players in generals, but it is what it is. Kyler with 14 as well. Why is Kyler his quarterback? Okay, yeah, he just doesn't have a good quarterback. And that's fine. He's 2-0-1. He has not lost yet, so who am I to judge? On Caleb's side of the matchup, tough season so far for the boy. For sure, if you would have played Caleb over Mahomes, that is a 16-point difference, and you would have won. Yep, that's tough for sure. It's always tough when you look at and you started Kyle Pitts over Hunter Henry. So there was a path for Caleb to win here for sure. Two different coaching plays. Obviously, Mahomes over Caleb, I think, makes more sense on paper. But to flip back and forth between Kyle Pitts and Hunter Henry, Kyle Pitts is costing people fantasy matchups in the year of 2025. That's pretty tough. DJ Moore had the most open touchdown of all time. Trayvon Henderson finally got some work because Ramondre fumbled twice and Antonio Gibson fumbled once. But I don't think he's going to start this week. I think that Vrabel is going to stick with Ramondre for godforsaken reason. Marvin Harrison had an atrocious drop too, and then Lab McConkey's been relegated to wide receiver 3 on his team with Keenan Allen back and QJ emerging. So he was carried by Gibbs with 26 points, but wasn't enough. Caleb, still winless, 0-3, currently sitting in 10th place out of everyone. And then Chris, 2-1 in third place. All right, last matchup of last week was the Jared matchup. This was an absolute thrashing, 173 to 110. I lost by 60 points. Yeah, tough. When your wide receiver 1 and 2 are projected to combine for 39.8 points and they combine for 3.3, you're never going to be in for a good time there. Obviously, I lose Mike Evans' injury. I lose CeeDee Lamb to injury. Juwan Jennings might still be banged up. Malik Neighbors didn't practice today. The whole team's hurt. Not great for sure. On Steele's side of the matchup, he did talk about his players already. Jonathan Taylor as the RB1 on the season so far with 32. Lamar with 27. Jake Ferguson with 21. JSM with 20. Egbooka with 14, who should have had more. That was a catch that they didn't call was a catch. JJ with 12. Javonte with 12. Packers D with 9. Brandon Aubrey with 8. So just a real good showing from Steele and a real bad showing from me. Not much more to say. I left Dave Montgomery on the bench. He had 29 points. I left Drake May on the bench. He had 19. But wouldn't have been enough. I could have combined that and a bunch of other stuff, and it wouldn't have mattered. So we lost. You know what? All you can do is, keep your chin up, move on to the next one. But yeah, Steele wins the Jared battle, 3-0 in first place, along with Rory. And then I dropped to fourth, sitting at 2-1. But those are our matchups from last week. Let's get into some predictions for this week. First matchup, Sam and Derek. So two of the teams are traded with each other this week. As you can see here, Sam is a 29-point favorite, and that is probably large in part due to the fact that it does not look like Derek set his lineup. He has Scary Terrian, who's projected for 0. Looks like he's going to miss this week. He has Sharbs in over Kenneth Walker, even though Kenneth Walker is the starter. They play on Thursday, so I hope Derek sees that before. But it's not my team. I can't set his lineup for him. And he's got Chase Brown, who just traded for on the bench as well. So, and he's got Jameson Williams, who just traded for on the bench. So, I can only go off what I see. Obviously, he's a 30-point underdog for a reason. Sam's got a brand new team. Kamara's new. Benson's new. Devontae's new. Tet, he drafted, but he's back. Tet didn't practice today. And then I think Jacoby Steele drafted and then traded to him. So, just a brand new team across the board for Sam. Projected for 143, which is good for the second highest projection out of everyone in the league this week. So it's looking like the moves that he's making might pay off. He dropped Dak Prescott, it looks like. I'm not seeing him on his bench. He's going with Jordan Love this week. So he's officially thrown in the towels on his Cowboys for the season. He's got none left. I will be picking Sam, obviously, because I have to go off what I see, and Derek doesn't set his lineup and traded away a bunch of his good players. So I think Sam's going to win this one. I think Sam gets in the win column, which he needs desperately. So we're going with Sam here. Matchup 2, Ford and Chris. Chris comes in about a 15-point favorite here. So not as big as Sam on Derek. But, yeah, we've already talked about Ford's team is looking rough. Chris has not lost yet, 2-0-1. He's got Fields in over Kyler from last week, who's filling for Fields, I guess. We don't even know if Fields is going to be starting or if he's going to be healthy this week. We don't know what's going on over there. So I'm sure that's going to be something to monitor. No other changes outside of that. He's starting Juwan and Tucker Kraft, who I'm not sure if that's what he did last week. I don't think it was, but he's going double tight end, which I can't help but respect. I like it. Ford, 123, good for the lowest projection in the league outside of Derek, who has not started his lineup yet. It's looking rough. Bill in Washington did not practice today with a knee injury as well. So that is another thing for him to monitor. He's really going to need a Woody Marks type guy to be somebody. Maybe Matt Golden steps up, catches a touchdown, does something instead of runs out of bounds when he's wide open. But regardless, I don't see a path to victory for Ford. It's going to be difficult for sure. His receivers, man, just Ricky P's been solid, but he didn't practice today either. Ford's just, my team's banged up. His team's real banged up too, for sure. Tough one. Tough sledding all around. I mean, you guys know where I'm going with this. I'm going to pick Chris here. But yeah, like it's going to be tough. Matchup 3. Steele and Rory. Najee Nation loses all of his running backs. Najee goes down. James Conner, who Rory always drafts, goes down. Both are done for the year, possibly longer. I did think Steele was joking when he said Rory was starting Ollie Gordon. And for those who may not be very plugged in, Ollie Gordon is the backup running back in Miami after Devon Achane, who did score a touchdown last week. So Rory's going with the waiver wire, not opting to trade anyone. It looks like he's just going to tough it out, which I can't help but respect. But Steele comes in at 147 points. That's the highest projected total out of everyone in the league, which doesn't make sense. Which does make sense. I apologize. I'm multitasking right now. Which makes sense because his team is the best team in the league. He's 3-0, one of 3 undefeated teams. But winner of the week the last 2 weeks, his team's looking real dangerous. He adds Drake London to the mix. He currently has Judkins on the bench. He's got J.K. Dobbins in over him. Javonte on the bench as well. Tyreek on the bench as well. So a lot of depth, a lot of running backs, just a lot of real good stuff across the roster for Steele. It's going to be some uphill sledding for anyone to beat him, but especially for someone starting Ollie Gordon. I think you guys all know where I'm going with this. I will be picking SJ to win this one. Unfortunately, even though I did pick against Najee Nation last week, I'll be picking against them again this week. I think it's going to be tough to get a win against Steele, just in general. So, yeah, I think it's going to be Steele here. Fourth matchup, Ben and Caleb. This is a 4.9 point difference. One of our closer matchups for the week. Ben comes in slightly favored. This is a good matchup for sure. I like it. Caleb obviously struggling with our league being a double flex league, having to start Trevion Henderson. Kyle Pitts over Hunter Henry. He has right now. We'll see if that's what he keeps. I would guess that he's probably not going to start probably not going to start Kyle Pitts again after he let him down last week, but not my team. Who's to say? Obviously, Gibbs stays in the lineup. Achane stays in the lineup. Marvin Harrison Jr. sucks. I think I've said that I don't think he's very good before. So Caleb's team's looking a little rough for sure. Outside of Gibbs and Achane, who's a PPR merchant. Lab McConkey, like I said, looking as the third receiver on the Chargers, but hopefully he can turn it around. We'll see, right? I don't think Ben's made any changes since last week, but he does get Xavier Worthy back. He was a full practice today, and he does have Cam Scatabo. So we'll see if he finds a way to get Cam in the lineup. It wouldn't surprise me if he plugs him in over Waddle or ETN. And Njoku, I think he'll probably stay in the lineup. I don't think he has another tight end, so is what it is. But I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup. I like this matchup on paper. I don't think it's going to be the highest scoring matchup, but I think it's going to be a very close and it's going to be a good matchup. So I haven't picked Caleb to win all year, and I really want to pick him to win, but it won't be this week. I think Ben's taking this one. Sorry, Caleb. Final matchup, me and Chase. Chase projected for 140, third highest. I'm currently projected for 136, but my plan is to put Juwan Jennings in once one of my 3 players that are doubtful. I could slot them in the IR instead of him, play him over Alec Aomanor, but we'll see. Juwan didn't practice today, so that might not be an option. Obviously, the injury bugs hit me pretty bad. I lose CD, I lose Mike Evans, Malik Neighbors didn't practice today, Juwan didn't play, Tyrone Tracy, I wasn't playing anyway, he gets hurt as well. So, rough sledding for sure, it is what it is. You can only look forward, you can't look backwards. On Chase's side of the matchup, Keenan's been real good for him so far this year. Jalen's been great, Derrick Henry's been just okay since week 1. Actually, he hasn't even been just okay. He's been not very good since week 1. Kyron's looking fine still. Fat Debo's looking okay, but he's got DK benched right now and Fat Debo instead. I bet he flips this around. I bet he doesn't end up starting Debo unless Scary Terry's out, if I had to guess. He's cut Cam Little after the performance last week. He's picked up Matt Prater, the Buffalo kicker, instead. He's got the Lions defense going up against Cleveland. So he's making some changes. Jordan Mason, I think, is a good play as well. He looked very good last week. But on my side of the ball, if we hadn't picked up Quentin Johnson, we'd be in pretty dire shape, fellas, for sure. We'd be in pretty dire shape. Man, I feel like I can't pick myself to lose to Chase after all the rage baiting that occurred, so I'm going to put myself here. Wouldn't be surprised if I do lose this one. If Malik doesn't play, I'm definitely going to lose. I'm going off the assumption that he's playing. I'm going to pick myself, as I normally do. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right, but I can't lose to Chase. I really, really don't want to lose to Chase. That's what I got for you guys this week. I appreciate you guys watching, as always. I love seeing all the trades come through. I'm down to talk shop with anyone. Steele, obviously, I want Judkins. Trade him to me, please. I beg of you. But other than that, have a good week, and go Patriots, baby.